Hello everybody, you join me in today's review of the 2025 Mercedes-AMG E53. This is a vehicle that, after the past few days of living with, has shown its many faces to me. Most of them I like, but there's elements of conflict that I'm experiencing here that I also experienced when I tested out the BMW M5 Touring, as the philosophies of both of those cars are very similar. Of course, with the engines that are in those two different products means that we're talking about a different type of intensity. But with this vehicle, there are multiple elements to its personality that have won me over and some that have left me feeling a little bit cold. So let's start off with the powertrain. We have a 3-litre turbocharged inline 6-cylinder with a 25 kilowatt-hour battery pack, 2 electric motors, and a 9-speed automatic transmission that delivers power to all 4 wheels through a rear bias. I was hopeful to test out one of the Mercedes plug-in hybrid products, as I haven't been able to experience them recently, and with anything hybridized, there's all of these different complexities that have to be ironed out. You would hope to expect that with an engineering powerhouse that is Mercedes, they would take all of these complex systems, integrate them in a way in that you as the driver, depending on how interested or disinterested you are in the driving experience, cater it so that you're always getting what you want out of the car. And for the most part, I do think that's true. You can get 69 kilometers, which is nice, with the all-electric range. Charging it up on a level 2 charger from 10 to 80% takes only 20 minutes. And I have been driving this car in mostly electric through horrendous conditions. Very cold and wet, so all of the interior comfort features have been on full blast all the time, and I have comfortably been within the range of 69 kilometers of driving, even sometimes indicating up to 77 available kilometers of range. So that's good. What's also good is the silkiness of this engine and gearbox. The 9-speed transmission in the years previous I thought was a little bit clunky. It's clearly been more and more refined over time, because if you use the paddles or if you just leave the car to shift to its own devices, sometimes you would think that there is no transmission. It is that clean cut. When you are in the Sport Plus mode, the most aggressive AMG setting, and you hit up or down, you can feel the thwump a little bit with the transmission, but that feels more like it's been engineered in for the sake of character rather than a matter of refinement. There's been instances where I've run out of EV range, and I didn't think I had, because the engine is just so removed from the cabin that anything could be happening under the bonnet. Any sort of power source to get the wheels turning could be happening, and as long as you don't have them displayed or you're really actively paying attention, you would never know they're running. And that does lead to a little bit of a problem with the sound that this engine produces. If you have the windows up, even if you're in Sport Plus mode, you can barely hear it. Barely hear it. I might hear a little bit of whoosh from the turbo, but that's the only natural noise in the E53. There is a lot of pumped-in audio. There's a whole host of sounds I hear coming from the speakers when I am trying to put some power down, and I'll demonstrate that for you in a minute. But unfortunately, that is the way the industry is going. Cars get more and more refined, luxury cars get more and more sound deadening, and it is all just a bit too fictitious for me to fall in love with the powertrain and the system and really what it's capable of. 577 horsepower, 553 pound-feet of torque, peak combined for this engine and electric motor. You can go up to 604 horsepower when you use a racing launch start, which will take you from 0 to 100 in 3.3 seconds. All impressive, it excites your passengers, and it is a thrill. So it's a little bit of an unfortunate matter to say that this is the valedictorian of the class, but it's lacking personality. It's lacking a reason for you to want to get to know it better. And what I have come to experience in this much like I did in the M5 Touring, is that if I'm doing boring commuting, I might as well be in EV mode. So then if you take that perspective, you've bought a $120,000 executive sedan, the majority of your driving is done in EV power only, then maybe you should have ended up in the EQE instead. This is where you really have to analyze what's the vehicle you're looking for, what is it you care about in a car, and what does your 99% of driving look like. So now that I've got an open bit of road here, no one to get mad at me, let's go into Sport Plus mode. So this, what you're hearing now, that is not engine. That is all coming out of the speakers. Let me just roll through a couple gears. So all of these noises, hopefully they come through well in camera. Going at reasonable speeds and pedestrians around, making what I feel like is a lot of noise in the cabin, nobody was looking around. I really don't think they can tell that I was just driving with a little more aggressiveness. Nobody on the outside knows what's going on here with the E53. No doubt quick, no doubt fast, but do I care for it? I don't know. I want to know it's the engine that's causing all of these explosive noises rather than something that's had to be synthesized later in the development process. Its AMG-ness isn't really here. It's supercar performance, but nowhere close to supercar excitement, and that's the same way that I felt towards the M5. You've got all this power, crazy statistics, but it doesn't really make you feel anything. A couple other things to round out the driving experience. I think steering is very nicely weighted, incredibly consistent, and this does have the rear steering system, so that's why I say consistent. You never know when the rear wheels are turning, and I gather that was a little bit of an issue when Mercedes was first implementing that system into their big sedans and SUVs. You could kind of tell when the back wheels had started doing their own thing. So that's good. Brake feel, when you're going into the physical brakes and rotors past that moment of regen, I think it is pretty slick. Not the absolute best in the world, but pretty good. I didn't find it immediately obvious how you can change the regen braking system. It's all through the paddles when you're in the EL mode, electric driving mode. And there's essentially 4 settings. You have plus, normal, auto, and minus. Plus mode is like you're driving a car that didn't have any hybrid systems to it at all. You just coast along like a normal car coasts. When you go into normal, that's when the vehicle is at its base standard for regen, and then when you hit minus, it becomes a little more aggressive. It feels like any other hybrid you might have interacted with before. But the auto one is interesting. It's the intelligent mode for regen braking. And what that means is that if I was going 55 and a 50 and I took my foot off of the throttle, the car would increase the regen capability so that it would bring me within the speed limit. Or if I, through my navigation, was going to be taking a hard right turn, the system would slow me down to prepare for that turn. And then if the vehicle in front of me was perhaps a bit too close, I was following with not enough safety buffer, then it would hit on the regen brakes and put me at a safer following distance. With all this, if you're not paying attention to the dashboard where all these little symbols show up, you might be thinking the car's reacting to an imminent crash. So it's weird. I think it needs some explanation to whomever takes it on a test drive. For me, I'm always pulling on the paddle so that I can go into minus mode. I want that more aggressive regen braking. I like that sensation. I like planning my driving around it. Strangely though, there is nothing you can do about recharging the battery via the engine. The only regenerative capabilities that it has is through the braking system. So unlike any other plug-in hybrid I've come across before, personally it's a feature I love to have. Recharge the battery as you're going on a more efficient highway cruise, so that when you get into the stop and go city traffic, you can depend on some reserved electricity. And to summarize it all into a sentence, would I be buying the E53 for its powertrain? I could, but what would convince me more to buy this product is the interior. This is one of the best built cabins I've been in a while for premium sedans, and where I felt like the BMW M5 was taking a few things away from you, like padding in the door pockets or trims in plastic that could have been leather. I feel like this Mercedes E-Class is doing a pretty damn good job of fulfilling its responsibilities as a premium vehicle. There's lots of LED lighting, lots of features to play with here with the super screen, not the hyper screen that you would find in the EQS or some of the higher end EQ models. And the super screen is a $2,000 option, which me personally, I thought was quite dumb. I don't know why we need another screen in a product like this, but for everybody that I've had in this vehicle, they love it. It's something for them to play with. There's plenty of gimmicks like these odd relaxation videos or exercise videos that you can do, but it does allow the passenger to take over functions. Like if I'm really stressed about where I'm going on the navigation and I want it on my main big screen, they can do other things on their screen, so that if I desperately demand that I need a different temperature control or I need the music change right now, they can take care of it without anything being interrupted here. But there is an abundance of information available in this screen setup. I've got the digital instrument cluster, I've got the heads-up display. Almost all of the information can be repeated 4 times. Certainly some fun charm with this display and interface. Driving this over Halloween, got the classic Halloween pumpkins on display. And I do usually get a bit bunged up on saying that there's almost no physical controls, but with the things on the steering wheel that are touch capacitive, they have worked exceptionally well. The screen responsiveness is amongst the fastest I've ever come across, and I've never encountered a dead hit. It's worked 100% of the time. The only real big irritation for me is the volume swipe. You use your finger on this button to get sort of the broad response to volume control, and then you have to fine tune on the screen, and that's just dumb. To use the same motion in 2 different places to get that nth degree that you're looking for. So I've always just resorted to using the swiper on the steering wheel. As someone that's 6'4", sitting up front, you might tell that I am just cutting underneath the roof liner, but the windscreen is tall enough that I feel like I don't have to duck down to try and see any of the traffic lights. And the Mercedes does have the feature of traffic light monitoring, so that if the main and only lights were right up here, the cameras out front will display them on the screen, so I don't have to get into an uncomfortable position to constantly be watching the lights turn from red to green. The center console here, and where I rest my elbows down here when I turn the heated seat on, they're heated as well. That's a nice little treat. And then moving into the rear seat, it's okay in the way that I can sit behind myself with my knees and feet not rubbing up against too much material, but my head is definitely bashing into the roof liner. More of a disappointment though is that where you have seat pockets and deep wide door storage, you don't have anything for cup holders by folding down the center seat or by the armrest. All you get is this odd little phone holder that's probably not the best thing for future proofing. And then finally, looking at the trunk, because the 25 kilowatt hour battery lives underneath it, it is nowhere close to as spacious as what you would get in the normal mild hybrid E-classes. And it does bother me that when you carry along the carrying cable, you don't have anywhere to store it underneath. And so there we have it. That's the end of my rambly review of the Mercedes-AMG E53. Again, buyer beware on that. You've really got to know what you want. You really got to know what you're looking for, because this vehicle can offer a little bit of everything. All EV, all powerful, a luxurious experience, and top class for latest user interface and touchscreen technology. It would be a product that could offer up so much to you all the time. So thank you very much for taking your time for watching this video, and I hope to see you again on the channel soon.